Hello again. Dwayne Brummett here with Ali Albarigo, schoolownertalk.com. Ali, great to be with you, sir.
Hey, Dwayne, great to be with you as well. I think, though, I want to make sure I did this last time right in the intro. It didn't have sound on the intro but I'm not sure if that.
Yeah, but it's going.
I'm sorry, say that again. You cut out.
Yeah, it's going on the recording. So,
Okay.
like, I'm seeing the recordings and it's working.
All right, great.
So
Fantastic. Okay, so then let's start the intro again. Hey, Dwayne, how are you? No,
we are so professional here.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we had it all running, but because the content is amazing, I don't want anyone to miss a second of it.
Well, and it was kind of funny because as you were waiting for us to start, you were listening to me finish up a health assessment.
And you know what? I'm starving now. Like you mentioned, like so many things that I want. I'm like, I'll take one of those. I'm hungry. That sounded good. Like all those sounded delicious. And I had a vegan option too. Everyone in my head, I'm like, I could have that in vegan option. That's cool.
Hey, speaking of vegan, you saw that post, was it about a month ago or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was, when I did those tofu fries and that baba ganoush.
Yeah, love baba ganoush. One of my favorites.
It was not bad, but I don't know that I ever need it again.
Well, what wasn't bad? The tofu didn't have a lot of flavor.
No, the tofu fries were great.
Right.
I think I would try to bake them a little bit longer to make them more crispier. But other than that, they were great. It was the baba ganoush that was yeah.
Maybe you didn't like that. That's the eggplant, like a hummus puree almost. So you got to really know how to season that up. And if you're not an eggplant fan, you probably won't love it.
I don't know that I've ever been an eggplant fan. So yeah, but I tried it.
But here's my vegan secret to anyone who's listening. If you want to make tofu and make it really crispy, freeze it and then defrost it at a later date because it takes out all the moisture and makes it very dense. So that when you cut it up, it doesn't have that, pillowy kind of consistency. And what people normally do to overcome that is they overcook it to make it crispy, like you said you would do. But you don't have to if you freeze it, and then it compresses it. Like they have tofu presses to squeeze the moisture out of it. So the freezing makes it's a very dense, thick, like potato-like feeling.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, cool. So today's an interesting topic because I know, like, so I have been like doing this 1 month free trial forever, right? And you and I are really good, thanks to Spark, at mastering our automation. So go ahead.
You should probably preface, tell everybody what we're talking about here first.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to do.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to say, so a lot of the stuff we do is automated, and we have this kind of follow-up system that's kind of on its own, doing its thing. And our topic today was, and you're really good at this, having like, and what do you call it, the 20-mile or the 10-mile snapshot, like from above?
Yeah, $25,000, or excuse me, 25,000 foot view.
Yeah, view overlooking everything. So anyway, so our talk today is about how to use video and automations to kind of do an enrollment process, onboarding process, a communication process to develop a really great communication network within your school. And you do that. You're like literally right now, you're almost hands-free on the sign up, right? That's like literally that people sign themselves up, and you don't have to have that whole entire thing that we used to do 4 years ago, 10 years ago, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I would say there's an 80-20 rule. 80% of the individuals are signing themselves up, and 20% we're following up with.
Right. Great. So let's talk about that, because I know that this is a big one and people are very interested, and we have a lot of people already on board. I guess that must have really piqued their interest. Yeah, our topics depend on listeners, right? Like we have these really, you and I call it sexy topics, right? Some are just not sexy enough for people to listen in, like, stats and, numbers and all those things. But some topics people are like, man, I got to listen to this one. And this one people are really excited about. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, good. So I just think anything that you can do that you can automate or duplicate or also delegate, not abdicate, right? But delegate, I think that we should do. And so I just wanted to kind of put that out in the forefront, because that's where this really kind of born itself from. And really back when Tim Ferriss had come out with the 4-day work week, or the 4-hour work week,
Right.
really got me thinking about how can I free myself and not have to be in the day-to-day of doing every single thing. And
Right.
so at the time we didn't have Spark. Spark wasn't even in existence.
Right.
But I kind of took a lead from Tommy Lee, where I had purchased his telephone system. I would say his onboarding system. It was the ultimate success.
Yeah, sales success system or whatever it was.
Yes.
And
And
Tommy was, by the way, Tommy was like the leader at the time. He's a good friend. I haven't heard from him in a long time, but yeah, he was like the man to go to for that kind of stuff.
And then what he had created was his own intro videos. So meaning like when you do your conferences, you would play the video, and then the prospect would get to see what the martial arts has to offer. Just how overcoming objections before their objections and all those things.
Right.
And I thought, wow, how great was that? So yeah. I used his CD, his DVD at the time, and then I started to make my own. And at the time, what I would do is I would create the video, and then I put it on a flash drive, and I plugged the flash drive into the Roku that was hooked into the TV in the conference room. And so the program director then would play the video of me. So now rather than me having to sit down and do all of those things, he or she was able to do it.
Yeah.
And so that was like the first of trying to, duplicate myself in a way and automate myself in a way that I didn't have to be there. Now, fast forwarding to where we are today, we have Spark, which is an amazing system, and the app that you have inside of Spark, and then we still also use YouTube. We just create videos and make them unlisted and those type of things as well. So all that being said, yes, we do automate, we duplicate, and then I also delegate so that I'm not having to do every single thing.
And that would be automate, duplicate, delegate, ADD.
I have ADD.
So that's our acronym, right? I think that's what it's called when you use letters for an acronym.
Yeah, squirrel. Yeah, no, sorry.
So let me clarify too, which I think also one thing you didn't mention, which was this eliminates human error as well. So like, when you have automations in place, as long as the software is good and it's set up the correct way, you literally have a full-time employee working for you day and night. So someone signs up for something in the middle of the night, 2 a.m, they're getting responses 2 a.m, because our software never sleeps, never takes a break, never gets lazy or tired. And these processes are able to just basically work day in and day out the right way. And the other thing is a lot of the concepts come from my mind, from that book Upstream. So you and I have looked at what happens during the process that might be, that what mistakes have we made? Now we can eliminate them. What questions do people ask? We can add them into the process, et cetera, et cetera. So we're thinking way upstream on the sales process. And I know, I'm sure you have too. I've had times where I go, damn, I meant to say something or remember those things. And even though in my head I'm thinking it, but I'm off on, the ADD thing, and then I forget. And so this eliminates that. You have this very well thought out process. So tell us a little bit more about how you're doing it.
Yeah. So I'm going to back it up to before technology. And leveraging technology. I remember Grandmaster Hafner, he called it the path.
Okay.
And so what is the path that you want your prospect to walk through from, signing up to, signing up for the trial, to doing the trial, and then after becoming a student, how does that path actually work? And so I think there's basically 3 different avenues that we want to look at this. First is the path that we want our potential prospects, because they're not even prospects yet,
Yeah.
but the potential prospects to walk through, and how does that look? Once they become a prospect and they're on, they're on doing a trial, how does that path look? And then once they sign up as a student and they're an official member, they enroll, then how does that, first 30, 60, 90 days look? And then obviously beyond, because I don't think you should stop there. So I had written out what the path I wanted it to look like, the funnel coming in to becoming a lead or a prospect. And then once they became a lead or a prospect, I wrote out exactly what had to happen. They got the welcome manual, which was a bunch of sheets of paper inside of a manila envelope, and it had like who we were, what we did, our instructors. I mean, it was basically, an introduction to a whole bunch of things. Plus, I had our policy and procedures manual in it. I mean, you name it. Everything was inside of that.
Yep.
So I still think that, and the reason I bring that all up rather than talking about the videos and all that other stuff, I think doing that work first before you decide to actually digitize any of it is where you want to be.
Yeah.
You do need to write all of those things down. And so what I tried to do was I tried to think about, what are the objections that people might have with regards, before they actually sign on the dotted line and become a member. And so I wanted to make sure that the information that they got would overcome those most biggest objections that we normally get. What's the biggest objection? Time frame, right? And price,
right?
Both of those.
Yeah.
And so those had to be in everything, but of course we don't know who is worried about their kid becoming a bully,
right? Or being
bullied. So those all have to be peppered in there. Yeah. And so again, this was before the book Upstream was ever written. We were utilizing that same concept of. And really, that's a marketing concept. I learned that from really Dan Kennedy.
Right.
With regards to meeting the prospects, trying to answer the prospects' question before they even ask it. And so that's why you look at those things and see what questions they're going to have, and then you put those into your writings, and then you create videos. Like now, if you want to duplicate yourself, you're going to create some what I would call welcome videos. Right. And so what we've done is we've taken those concepts from the parents' perspective, and then also the kids' perspective, and we have two different videos that are being sent. Not that the parents don't see the kids' video, because obviously they're going to see it, but the kids' videos are. I have 5 different videos that I send the kids. Basically the very first one is an introduction one, and it just reminds them of when they walk in, the niceties of the things that we're supposed to do. When you walk in, this is where your stuff goes. This is how you bow in. If you're late, this is how you ask permission to come in. If you need to go to the restroom and you're on the floor, raise your hand. This is how you ask to, leave the floor. And then I jokingly say, and obviously if you feel like you can't make it to the bathroom in time, don't worry about asking, run off the floor, because we don't want any types of accidents on the floor, So, but that first video is more of just a welcome, and then the niceties, how things run, and that's for the kids, right? And then the next video for the kids, we do a little bit more of instruction based upon what grouping they're in. So I've done 3 different videos for that next video. And what I mean by that is this: if they're in our tiny little ninjas or little ninjas, which is 3 and 4 or 5 and 6, they get the same video.
Right.
If they're in my 7 and up, so if they're in a 7-year-old to teenage, they get a different video. And then if they're an adult, they get a different video as well, because I want to speak to them differently. But basically, it's an instructional video on some of the terminology, some of the moves, like some of the beginner moves that they're learning in the beginning, and so on and so forth. But they get a total of 5 different videos.
Great.
The parents get 6 videos, broken up in obviously in about 2 to 3 minute sections, just because they have to be. The attention span of people nowadays is crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that.
Yeah. So the very first video is probably about a minute, and that is just teaching them how to download our app and make sure that it's hooked up correctly. Right. And we even tell them to, once they download it, to message us through the app. So we're expecting a message the same day that they're doing their trial, so that that we know that they know how to do the app. And then from there's 5 different videos that they get. Obviously, one is a welcome one. Another, and it goes over like the 3 key areas of our training, which obviously is the self-defense piece, the physical fitness piece, and the character development piece.
Right.
But inside of that, like inside of those 3, we're touching on, answering those questions before they become a question, or if they are really a question, they haven't had an opportunity to ask it yet, we're answering it before they even have to ask the question physically to us.
That's so important, because we know probably off the top of our heads 20 questions that people ask us on a day-to-day basis, right, with new students. So we already have them in our head. We pretty much know when they first start talking what they're going to ask, and we have an answer. So start putting them in your automations or your processes, so that they don't have to ask or get frustrated or forget to ask and get frustrated. And then, you could eliminate all of that stuff by preemptive kind of answering questions, preemptively answering questions.
Yeah, and I think it just makes a huge difference. And again, if it's questions that are always being asked, then why not automate it, right?
Yeah.
Now, can I make sure that, every single time that they are, watching those videos, I can't make them watch it. Right. But I also can't make them sit down and listen to me, even though they're sitting across from me either. Right. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. In one ear, out the other most of the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So in as much as I would love to say that everybody watches every single video and they don't miss one, I can't say that that's the truth. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Because I've had people on even the final video, which goes over the price structure and all those things and how our program works with regards to that. I've had people that have said, "Oh, I didn't watch that video." Right. Had you watched it, you wouldn't have had to ask. So then I just send them the same link that I sent them before, and just say, look, take time, watch it. And that one's the longest video. That one is almost 9 minutes long. But as I do that video, though, I go through just a lot of different things. But let me pull this up. Let me share my screen with you so that we can kind of talk about the welcome information real quick. All right.
Yep. And for those listeners that are just listening on iTunes or Spotify or Flickr or one of those, we'll talk you through it.
Yeah, and then you could always go to schoolownertalk.com and watch it there as well.
Right.
So this is the actual final 5th one. I said I send 6 of them, and I do, but the very first one I don't count in this section here because it's how to download. But the reason I pulled this one up is because I can reference all of them. So the video number 1, so if they missed a video, they can go back and watch them. Because each time I send it, I have a link underneath each one. So if this was only video 1, you wouldn't see anything underneath it, right?
Right, right.
But if it's video number 2, you would see video number 1 and 2 on top, and so on and so forth. So I give them access. And then, honestly, under each page, there's different things. So this one is about me, my books, those type of things. But each one has its own thing underneath. Under the very first video, just as an FYI, it does reinforce, hey, did you download the app? If not, here's the links to do that. But the very first video, like I said, is the 3 main focuses on our program. The second one is how to check in, belt tying, and just general information, meaning, how to approach us, how to interact with us, the easiest ways to get a hold of us, just a bunch of general information. And then we have 11, the next video is 11 confidential facts that you need to know. Well, we strategically, one of the confidential facts that is in that video is that most people do martial arts with a family member or a friend.
Right.
What do you think we're doing there?
Yeah, you're getting referrals right there, right off the bat.
Yes. Also in there, we tell them that the average, is about 18 months in the martial arts in the United States. That's what average is. But then, but at Dwayne Brummett's TriStar Martial Arts Academy, that's not the average. The average person goes to black belt,
right,
which is about 3.5 years. So I'm just, dripping that in their mind.
Yeah.
You know where we're going with that, right?
Yeah, of course. Retention.
Yes. And then this fourth video is our school policy and private lessons and how that all works. And then the final video, obviously, is the fifth video, and that goes over, our program, the price, and in that, and I think I sent you that video one time, but in that video, I have it's me as a talking head, but then when I start going over everything that they get, it really does. There's a PowerPoint that comes on the screen as I talk, and then it comes off, and I continue to talk, and then it pops back on, just because it makes it a lot more interactive. Yeah. But I use some marketing in it purposely with regards to value stacking.
Right.
And so as I put those on there, because there are some things that make us unique. And one of the unique things compared to anybody else in our area is it's one price and you get everything. The other, and so that includes the app, that includes the private lessons. Their first uniform is free. Their first T-shirt is free. And just a whole bunch of stuff that's in that video. I'm not going to pull it up, but you can kind of see where I'm going with that, right?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's just amazing. And I think that, what are you using as far as your layout that the people are seeing this right now, that aren't seeing this? This is your website, and you have a hidden page, and then they were able to click from the app over to the website and see it.
Yes. So so with the parents, I don't send them to the app for their information. These are all hidden pages on the website.
Okay.
So I will text them the URL. They go straight to it.
Right. And this also could be done on the app as well with Spark.
Yes. And eventually I will be changing that over.
Yeah. I like the way you have it laid out, though. It's great. I mean, for the people who aren't seeing it, it's a very smooth and clean page. Steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. So people could, if they're on step 3, but they really never watched 1 and 2, they don't have to go searching for it. It's right there on the page. They could click back and, if they felt inclined to actually pay attention on step 4, but actually watch 1 and 2 and 3, they can do that. So that was really well laid out. And I like how you have that in those steps where it shows and explains each one. So that's great.
And the other reason I wanted to put it on the website is I want them, just for SEO purposes, right, I want them to spend time on the website.
Right.
And so if they have to watch the video, rather than them watching the video inside the app, I wanted them to have to go to the website and spend time on the website so that it would help the search engines.
Although I don't know if SEO is predicated off of hidden pages. I don't know if a hidden page helps your SEO.
It's not hidden. It's just not published. I mean, it's published, but it's just not in the site map.
Right, on the site map. So that's really, that's interesting, though. So let me quickly clarify. I was taking notes as you were talking, so there's a lot of great pointers that I want everyone to see, though. So number one, the whole entire upstream mindset has to do with relevant information, right? Answering questions ahead of time, making sure we're letting people know before they even have to ask. We're educating them so that they're feeling more comfortable. Like, for example, I'm having my kitchen done right now. The guys, I force them to go out to lunch so they don't make make too much noise. However, it's a very frustrating process for me, I have to tell you, because a lot of stuff just was not communicated. Like you and I love to communicate and we want to know what's going on. So these guys, like, I thought I'd have a 4-week kitchen. Now it's 8 or 10 weeks because I didn't know they had to come back in and measure the counters, and then they have to wait 3 weeks to build the quartz countertops, and none of that was communicated to me. And if it was, it would have been easier for us to set up our lives,
Right.
Little things that they're not doing, that because we're living out of our living room. And I know this is just to point out to our listeners, how we should set things up in our school. We're living out of our living room, our refrigerator, we're cooking in an Instapot. And if I could have known that, like, they would maybe hooked up my appliances, they're all sitting in place. If they would have put my stove in, I could have been cooking on my stove. Like little things like that mean the world to people. So if you're able to eliminate that process with your school, how do I get my belt? How do I wash my gi? How do I tie my belt? How do I pay tuition? All that stuff you're giving to them before they even ask it. That makes a great relationship. Like, it's almost like you spill the beans on your first date of what you do, all your bad, habits and so on. We're letting them know everything. I thought that was amazing. And I love that you mentioned it, but you weren't really specific on it, that you segregate your information. Certain emails for the kids, totally different than maybe the teens, totally different than maybe the adults, right? You break that up because it's a different conversation, isn't it? Can you go explain a little bit about that for the listeners?
Yeah, and that specifically is for the students' videos, right, that they're getting, not the parent videos.
Right.
So, and when I say parent videos, let me say it this way: there's student videos, and then there's buyer videos.
Okay.
Because the student and the buyer could be one and the same.
Right.
If it's an adult.
Right.
So, yeah. The buyer, no matter whether they have a kid in the program or not, are going to get the 6 videos I talked about. First one, how to download the app, and the other 5 about the program.
So that's a prospect that's just signed up either on a trial, or they bought a trial membership, or they just got started. What's that for?
Yeah. So, let me explain it this way. The welcome videos are for everyone.
Right.
That have opted in and come into their very first class.
Okay, got it.
And it doesn't matter. There's 6 welcome videos. Again, the first one is how to download the app. The other 5 is about the program. That doesn't matter if it's an adult trying the program or if it's an adult's kid that's trying the program. They get those. The other ones that are segregated are the potential student videos, right? So a student that's on trial, I have 5 videos that are for the 3 to 6 year olds. I have 5 videos that are for the 7 to teenage.
Right.
And then I have 5 videos that are for an adult that's trying it out.
Okay.
So those obviously speak to things that are age appropriate.
Yeah.
Level appropriate.
Yeah.
But everybody that's in the trial gets the videos I just showed you, because that's more of the buyers.
Right.
Videos.
Got it. So let me also point this out to the listeners too, like age appropriate, buyer appropriate, all those things are segregation of information and relevance to the person, whatever stage they are in the process. But what I think that's important that everyone should make a note is that, general messages are okay, but when you could really dial down a message to, let's say, a parent of a 3 to 4 year old, because they're looking and listening and wanting different things, and let's say a kid that's a 5 to 8, or a youth kid, or an adult, right? You don't want to talk about, daycare off immediately.
Yep. And then once they become a student, then you need to, I don't want to say talk to them differently, but you do need to talk to them, and you need to, now that they're on board, we need to keep them on board.
Yeah.
And so there needs to be, what we used to call, maybe you still call it, but it's the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 week, 12 week.
Yeah.
It's just the path.
Right.
I love the path. Yeah, the path that you want to be laid out for them up to their first belt.
Yeah, and beyond, right? You said that before. You keep on going as long as you'd like.
Well, yeah, but I think, so that people don't get overwhelmed, they need to have at least maybe like a 4 week uh, process that they're still talking to those individuals. And the reason I say 4 weeks, I don't know how every school does it, but and this may not be appropriate for most, all schools, but the reason I do it as a 4 week process is because I potentially can have somebody come in 8 weeks before a test,
Right.
do their 4 week free trial,
Right.
register, and now there's 4 weeks left and before they test,
Right.
and then test, and they already earned their first belt within 2 months rather than 3 months.
Gotcha.
And so I don't want to talk to them like a white belt when they've already or earned their yellow belt.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Totally makes sense. In fact, we did a tournament this weekend. Just check this out. Quick little story. We had a guy who had his students that are supposedly beginners, but he fails people for their tests. So some of his beginners have been training for 3 to 4 years. Now they're in the beginner division with kids that have had 4 months training. And we're telling this instructor, that's not fair. He said, what do you mean? They're still beginners. I'm like, no, they're not. They've been going for 4 years. They're not beginners. And there's a big difference. So that, what you had just said is so important for people to understand. Like, we want to talk to that brand new person one way, someone who's been there a little bit longer, a different way, right? And
yes.
You have different conversations with them.
Yes. Now, does that mean that they're going to get 5, 6, 7 videos? No.
Right.
No, they don't need that.
Yeah.
But they do need touches, and you got to come up with what the touches are going to be, whether they are going to be phone calls, whether they're going to be emails, whether they're going to be videos.
Right.
But a lot of that stuff can be automated to a certain degree. Could even be a survey.
Yeah.
Because even like through Spark, we can create surveys.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things that we do have is right after their to start the next belt process, meaning from yellow to yellow with a white stripe for us, there's a survey that is taken after their belt test. Mm-hmm. And then saying, obviously in the survey, it's like, I can put a video in there.
Yeah.
Congratulating them. So it's Mr. Brummett congratulating them on their new belt. One of the joking things that I say is like, just so you know, in our school, I know you earned a yellow belt, but yellow doesn't stand for chicken, Right. And so now it's going to be 3 months, and you're going to be eligible, as long as you earn all 8 of your stripes, eligible to test for your yellow belt with a white stripe. But before we, start working on that information, I would love to get some feedback from you on your training so far. And then there's certain questions that we ask, which allows us to, see kind of where they're at. And then the program director can reach out to them if need be, depending on what they're saying. Right.
Right.
So, and then, like if you were a school and are asking me, okay, so now they're the yellow belt, to get them to the next, belt, I would, like, what do I do? I would say, well, one is that survey, but then 2, what is the experience that you want them to have up to that yellow belt with a white stripe? And then how can you craft that and digitize it or automate it so that you're not having to be the one that's doing it?
Yeah. Can I share one golden nugget that I think that people should hear is that, while doing these videos, think of how you can tie in your retail as well. So a lot of times we miss this. And so, for example, my students get a tag when they get their white belt, which is our first belt. You earn a white belt in our school. So then once they get their belt, and it's a very informal, they get it, and we may do it right in the classroom, or if we're doing a test that weekend, we'll invite them to the test. But anyway, when they get it, we tag them with the white belt tag, and it fires off four automations. One is an email, and in the email, it also says, hey, by the way, don't forget, now that you're a white belt, you get the privilege of being able to buy your sparring gear. And then it has a coupon discount. If they do it within the first 10 days, they get 10% off on this gear package. As we're educating them, giving them their curriculum, giving them their information, and upstreaming with whatever info they need to know with their white belt, they're also getting that plug that, hey, now's the time to buy X, Y, and Z. And you could be doing that with anything, whether it be, the next stage up to Black Belt Club or your next leadership team. So as you're sending out this info, you should always think about how you could tie it in for, even the Dwayne Brumman TriStar Academy t-shirt. Congratulations for everyone. We give you guys a half off coupon, for your first t-shirt, as something for getting your blah, 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 or joining our school, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, now that you bring that up, and that's a great point, I'm glad that you did, is in the price of the program and how it works video, I talk about getting a second uniform at a reduced rate, and that's only a one-time opportunity, and then also a second TriStar t-shirt at a reduced rate, and that's a one-time opportunity as well. And then, the shopping cart that they get sent via that has that on there too for them to select it.
So again, Spark, we have a checkout page with a shopping cart, and we could just include it at the click, or even on the app. They could go right to our store and buy whatever they want. So it is kind of crazy. Like if you think about the technology we have at our fingertips to this is stuff that 10 years ago was just not available. And you and I, we were using 6 years ago, 5 years ago, like 4 or 5 different types of software to get done what we do within our software now. I was spending $700 a month, you probably even a little bit more. And I got rid of all of that stuff to just have Spark, and it's all in one platform.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So do you have any other stuff as far as your onboarding or your...
Yeah. So the next thing is obviously you want to get them through whatever belts, so I would say try to do those things to keep them engaged. But then the other thing too is you probably have upgrade programs. And so being able to, automate, duplicate or delegate, right? ADD, so you want to think about how can you do that. So one of the ways that we've done that is it used to be, so our first upgrade program is leadership. So and leadership is a program where they're going to get 15 minutes at the end of each class. They get to learn weapons. There is a whole mental leadership program that goes along with it, because there's workbooks that they read, and then they have actual there's there's a workbook to each of the topics that they're reading about. Yeah. And they have to do that as well. But anyways, so I used to sit down and do a half an hour leadership interview. Right. And I pride myself in, I do a really good interview. But there's a lot of things that are in there that could actually be automated. And I have freed myself from that process now. Right. And actually, Mr. Bean, my head instructor, does the interviews. But when we, this is through Spark, when we set up the interview, and you know how Spark works, where you set up an appointment. Right. There's a text message that goes out the day before, and also the day of. Well, inside that text message, it reminds them of their appointment and that they have to watch this specific video before they attend. Nice. And that video is basically me talking about the leadership program. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I forget how long the video is, but it builds the program up, everything that's in it, why it's such a privilege to be asked in it. Right. The commitment to black belt and what that means. Yeah. I build it. Yeah. Then they come in and they do the interview. Mr. Bean doesn't have to do any of that. All he does is take the interview sheet, ask them the questions, gets their answers, send them on their way. And then what he does is he tags them that they showed up, because in Spark, it reminds us of our appointments, right? Right. So he clicks on that they showed to that appointment, and then boom, the next video goes out to them. The next automation happens, right, where they get the next video stating that, hey, look, just so you know, this is this is how long it's going to take in order to find out whether you got into leadership or not. Blah 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 blah. Yada yada yada. Yeah. And the price and everything. Yeah. And then that's on that. We always do our leadership interviews on a Friday, and then come Monday, we get a task. Our program director gets a task to say, and the only reason that they would get this tag is if Mr. Bean was like, yep, they're going to get in, like based upon who they are, what I know of them, their interview, they're going to get in. So of course he gives them that tag. And then the next Monday, boom, I've got a task, or my program director has a task to follow up with them to say, hey, so-and-so got into leadership. What day and time is the best to present them, yada, yada, yada. So that whole process used to be me, 100% me. I don't do any of it anymore because the videos are me.
Right. And well, you're doing it, just not in real time.
Being spent in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, our next level, because you have to be in leadership before you can get to our storm team, which is our special team of role models. Those are the individuals that want to learn how to teach. We do it the exact same way. They get a video before, they do their 15-minute interview, they get a video after. So it's all me presenting it, but I don't have to be there to do it.
Right.
Does that kind of make sense?
Totally makes sense. It's amazing. Okay. Yeah, it's incredible. So let me quickly, I've been writing down some things. So by the way, first and most important thing is, how do we get people to listen? Like, in other words, how to get them to actually listen, right? What'd you say?
Yeah, you picked up on it now.
Yeah. No, but so it's important for us to understand that, and you said this in the beginning, I wrote it down, it's like little small chunks, right? Attention span is not what it used to be. And I'm reading your students writing a book, and I'm reading the book and I'm kind of looking at it with him, and he writes that in there. He said, listen, you have to do things in small spurts, because if you overwhelm them with something for too long, you're going to lose their attention. They're going to get bored. So I can't wait for this book to come out that he's writing, your student, because it's going to be a great book for school owners. So that's important.
Yeah, my head instructor, Mr. Bean.
Yeah, Mr. Bean, yeah. Hopefully he'll sponsor us with book sales. No, just kidding. But anyway, the next thing is too, like, think about, the word clickbait is it's kind of a negative thing, but have you ever been on the internet and you saw something like, I know I do this all the time and I know I shouldn't, and I get mad that I did it and it was a waste of my time, where they show like what this actress looks like now. She was so beautiful and this then and now, and I click on it and then I'm down this rabbit hole, right? But it's little things like that draw people's attention. So you should make sure that your headlines are like, you're not going to believe this, or, I'm going to be able to change your kid's life forever with these 2 easy steps, or whatever you may say on your heading, so that you get people to watch the hard work that you put in. Because you said not everyone's going to watch, but if we could somehow use that mentality of interesting headlines, interesting topics, fun stuff, joking stuff, things like that, to get them to really open and watch or listen or read the emails that we have, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't say as a martial arts school owner you should use this headline, but something as catchy as, especially if you're sending this to a guy, hey dude, your wife is hot.
Yeah, right.
Would you open that email up?
Yeah, or air conditioning companies. That's where
I was going with that. Yeah.
There's a great billboard in Florida that I pass every time when I'm on Federal Highway, where it says your wife is hot, and there's a picture of his wife. And then it says whatever air conditioning, so she's going to be pissed and then the air conditioning company. But, like stuff like, you'll never believe what this kid did, or I'm blown away by what happened in class yesterday. And people are like, is it good? Is it bad? Like, those headlines make a massive difference in getting opens. But the other thing too is, like, when we were talking about I'm going to just list and then get you back on it. So we talked about, number one, we have to identify an issue or something that needs to be taken care of or talked about. Two, we want to come up with the solution based on our past experiences and get it out there so that we're preemptive and we're able to beforehand fix whatever problems, answer whatever questions, and do whatever we got to do. So if a school owner is going, wow, this is really great, but it's mind-boggling with all the work that you're talking about, how do I get this done? Just stick to these first 4 tasks to make your first automation. Issue, past experiences, so the solution to the issues, questions that are asked, catch their attention with interesting headlines to get them to watch, make your videos, your stories fun. Everything doesn't have to be so serious. I know we as martial artists, we're so serious. There was a TikTok video that I just saw. It was the most ridiculous TikTok video for a martial arts school ad. But I watched the entire thing, and at the end, I'm like, it's genius. You know, it was a lady from a Taekwondo. She's a head instructor, and she's talking about her school, walking through the dojo, and all of her instructors are on those round bouncy balls, you know, the ones that you sit on. And she's literally talking, walking up to them. They look at and wave, and she knocks them over, and they fall down, and she just walks to the next person. She did this with like 6 instructors, and then she turns and advertises their school. And the ad has been killing it from what I know, because I know the person who's marketing them. So anyway, so catch their attention. And then number 4, come up with a solution. And then drip market. Like you don't have to be long. Like what are most of your video lengths on your stuff that you have?
Yeah, so the introductory, very first one about downloading the app is probably a minute, minute and a half. I try to keep it 3 minutes or under. The only one is that is the longest one is it's 8 minutes and 57 seconds, and that is you know, me going over the program and how it works with regards to the price.
Okay. All right, great. So, I mean, not that it's going to take you. And by the way, you should also say, hey, I have a short 3-minute video for you, or this is a longer one.
That's
right?
what. Yeah, that's what it says on the text when I send it to them.
Right, because then they're going to be like, oh, they sent me a video. I'll watch it later when I have time, thinking that it's going to be an ordeal, and maybe they never get around to it. But if you say, here's a short 2-minute video, give it a look, and they'll go on, and make sure, by the way, it's 2 minutes. Don't lie to them and be 5, because they'll never trust you again. But make sure that you then get the video. Then they could be on their lunch break, or they could be on their way, you know, stuck in traffic, or they could be sitting on a bench, et cetera, et cetera. You have a video?
Well, yeah, I won't play all of it. This is the price of the program and how it works. Did I lose it? Here we go.
Nope, you got it there.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Martial Arts School Owner Talk.
Wrong one.
Yeah, wrong video. And I have no audio on that. I don't know why I don't hear it.
Huh.
Play it. I'll go on Facebook and see if it's actually playing the audio.
Oh, here we are. Solo. I want to make it solo. There we go. You would think I know how to do this by now.
Now play it. I want to see if I hear it.
Hello, Mr. Brummett here again, and thank you for trying out our program. In this video, we're going to go over the investment that you will make for the program and all that's included, and an opportunity for you to save some money if you know that this is the right program for you and or your family right now. By now, you've had a few classes, you've interacted with our staff, you've gotten to experience firsthand how the instruction works here, our expectations, the love that we have for our students, and also had the opportunity to discover most of the ins and outs of the studio. As you may know, our mission here at TriStar is creating leaders from day one. We believe that creating better leaders will not only help our students now, but later on in life, no matter where they end up, what city and town and state ultimately or country they end up in. Hopefully you've seen and experienced a little of that already. Our program is an all-inclusive program. What does that mean? We don't charge extra for the belts and belt testings, private lessons, or even the app and all the convenient things that you get access to in there, like the video-based curriculum. I trust that you've looked at a few of those instructional videos already. You see, most martial arts schools charge extra for these things.
All right, so you can kind of hear what that is, right?
Yeah, I don't hear it for some strange reason, but at the same time, I'm sure that it's on Facebook and everyone's hearing it. But that's pretty awesome, though. I watched it, and you look good.
Yeah, I was going to try to fast forward it towards the end, but for some reason, I can't get it to do that.
No worries. No, that's a big help for people to see it. So that's pretty good. So we're running tight on time already. Can you believe it? We have 10 minutes left, and then we have to close it up.
Goes by quick, man.
So let's explain some of the processes a little bit, so that people really get it. So the onboarding, the concept of onboarding is what we used to call 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 week calls, but it was how do we get a new student to understand what their responsibility is, what they're expected to do, what they can expect from us, and the better you are at that process, the better your communication will be, you will have a longer and less stressful relationship when people know what they need to know and they feel comfortable with what you do. I think that school owners sometimes say, oh, I'm over communicating, I don't want them to get sick of me. I think that people would rather know, like me in my kitchen, if I would have known these things, I wouldn't be so frustrated, because if he would have said, listen, this is the process. We do all of this stuff and then they come and then we measure for the cabinets and it's another 2 weeks and for the counter, you know, et cetera, et cetera. If I knew that ahead of time, I'd be like, I just texted before I texted my guy. I'm like, I need to talk to you today. I'm very frustrated with this whole process. And he's like, okay, call me the minute you're done. You know, like, so if you could have eliminated that by just telling me ahead of time, maybe even for him, he's a contractor, a sheet of paper would have been good. Right here, Allie, this is what to expect, steps 1 through 10, you know, that kind of thing. You know, so everybody has to understand the onboarding of a student, and there's onboarding of a brand new person, which we call prospect marketing, or in my school, I call it the 30-day trial funnel. You know, free. It's a free month, 30 days trial. And I'm kind of like communicating twice a week, email, text messaging about what they're seeing, what they're watching in class, what to expect, talking about, you know, the benefits. So I'm pre-selling them the entire time, to the point where usually around week 2, if I've done my job and they've actually engaged, they will say, I have, I want to sign up, sign me up. We're ready to go.
Yeah, I thought you called that the courting stage, right? The fall in love.
Yeah. That my program is the falling in love program.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we call.
Yeah, and look, I don't want anybody to get overwhelmed, but this is a lot of work. I'm not going to lie and tell you that it isn't.
Right.
But all you do is you just do, like, I guess the way I look at it is you just do one step at a time. And so, you know, take the next 3 months, map out what you want your, your trial students to experience, put it together, and then you're done. And then once they become a student, take the next 3 months and map out what you want your no belts in your case, or white belts in my case, to experience. Right. And then put that into play. And then take the next 3 months. Heck, the way that I did it initially was I decided, okay, this group of white belts, I'm going to follow all the way to black belt.
Right.
And so as they got done with, that from white to yellow, as soon as that white to yellow process was done, I just took them and I said, hey, what was it in that level that was challenging? What was fun? What was not fun? You know, and then what could we have done better to make it better for you? Yeah. And then I took the next 3 months and I worked on that. And while they were earning from yellow to yellow with white, and then you do the same thing with those same group. Okay, by the way, and I just told them, I said, you guys are my guinea pigs, and I'm going to lean on you in order to make the program even better. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate your help. Most of them were, 98% of them were happy to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard, like, look, I don't think anything that I've ever done, any process that I've ever signed up for, if I had all the stuff at my fingertips, I had no one to blame, because they gave me everything, laid it out for me, explained it to me. Here's the best way to get the most out of my program. I was never angry with them for over communicating. Now, listen, there are certain people that are just too busy for their own good. And that happens quite often. Parents look at us as like an hour of free time with benefits, right? You know, they're going to send us in and they get benefits, but at the same time, they're not going to fully engage, practice at home, read the material. Maybe they have 2 kids, 4 kids, 6 kids, whatever the case may be, 2 jobs, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So, but we want to try to get them somehow to engage. And that's what that clickbait, that mentality of, you know, catchy headlines and, you know, you're never going to believe what you just saw, or, you know, you guys got, you know, I just found that I have a girlfriend and, you know, my wife doesn't know. And then you talk about the dojo being your girlfriend because you love it so much, you know, like stupid, silly things like that are kind of like, wow, what's going on here? And then they find out it's in reference to a video too, about their program or their kids, or et cetera, et cetera. So those things are really, and drip marketing, small little pieces and clips of information is super important. Don't overwhelm people, because I swear I get that way too, though. Like, you know, hey, I got an email and I look at it and it's so long. I'm like, I'll read it tomorrow.
And you never read it.
and I never read it, and it sits in my inbox until finally I just hit delete because I'm just not going to get it. And it caught my attention. It was just too long for me to. I needed to be chunked down. Probably every business owner gets probably 30 emails a day from website developers in India and different countries. And I get them all the time for some strange reason. And they're all like 3 paragraphs, 4 or 5 paragraphs, small fonts. I'm like, I'm not going to even read it. Even if I was interested, I don't want to read that. So we have to be careful with what we put out. But I love it. So your other thing, and we only have like 4 minutes, but you had your process too, when we talked about it in the beginning, is you're getting people to sign up and watch the videos, and you almost eliminated having a salesperson because you said 80-20 rule, 80% of them are doing it on their own. And 20% of them are saying, hey, I need a little more info. I just feel more comfortable if I talk to you in person. Then you'll sit down with them and make an appointment. But you've eliminated 80% of that, where we used to do that. All of us did it in person, all day long, trial classes, information, all this stuff, and trying to sell. Now you've automated to the point where you've eliminated that. You've gotten rid of a full-time employee almost.
Yeah. And this is a fair question. And I'll give the answer, but the fair question is, okay, Dwayne, now that you've automated that process and 80% are signing online and 20% are not,
right?
How many of that, 20, how many of those 20% are actually, signing up at all?
Right.
I think that's a fair question. But then out of all, let's say you have 10 prospects and, 5 of them do it online. The other, maybe only 1 more does it in-house. Could you have gotten half of those other 4, right? So 2 more if you would have had the face-to-face with them. I think that's a fair question.
Okay.
I really do. But I hate to say it this way, the way that I've structured everything, we don't have time to do all that anymore.
Right.
And in our videos, we are educating them that this is how you are going to interact with us. So I don't know if you remember, I said that we let them know the best ways to communicate with us. And for us, one of the best ways for them to communicate with us is to message us through the app.
Right.
And so app messages are primary for us.
Uh-huh.
Do I respond to text messages? Yes. Do I respond to phone calls? Yes.
Right.
But that being said, the app gets precedence. Anybody that messages us through the app, we make sure that we're on that and we answer those first and foremost.
Right.
Because they are following the directions on how we want to be communicated with, and what actually works best in our schedule, because I can respond to that app message anywhere, just via my phone, because I've got the app on my phone. And again, if you use Spark, that you can respond to the text messages through your app and everything too. And we do, but they're not primary for us.
Right.
So I want somebody that is going to follow the directions, that makes life easier for me. And does that mean that I may not get a client? Like, so for instance, yesterday I had a phone call with a lady. She was concerned about the attendance policy. I tried to help her with her concern. The concern was basically, I don't know, there's going to be some weeks we can't make it. I said, well, you can do it private and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
We went back and forth, and then she finally texted us back and said, I just don't think it's going to work out because you have a strict attendance policy. I said, that's fine. If things change, let us know.
Right.
I want somebody that wants to be there, because she even said, I know that you want people that are serious and not somebody that wants to do this, haphazardly. And I said, well, there are students that start out that way, that it becomes serious. And there's some that start out and they go, yeah, this isn't for me, and they quit.
Right.
I don't know where your son's going to be, but I just, I try to draw the line and let everybody know where we are, what we stand for, and what we want.
Isn't that weird? I mean, we got to end now, but isn't it weird how people want to join your school? They want the benefits of what you do, yet they don't want to dedicate time to doing it. It's almost like if they were, hey, my son wants to learn how to play guitar. Okay, we'll do 1 lesson a week, but he's never going to practice. so that, the instructor will keep taking your money. Mine wouldn't. He would kick me out, but everyone else would be like, yeah, I'll take your money, but your kid's always going to suck at guitar. They're never going to be good. Do you not care that they're good? Why bother putting them in it? Everyone just wants them to experience stuff, and that's where the problem lies. But that's a whole nother podcast, right?
Another call.
Yeah. Do you want to close it up? I think everybody's listening. We got a ton of great information. Someone said, yes, when they were listening to the audio, we hear it, and it's amazing stuff in reference to your video. So, I thought it was a great call. Great job.
Thanks. Yeah, I enjoyed it. So, this is a pertinent topic. I think everybody can, even if they don't do everything exactly what we're talking about, just some way to become ADD in your business. Again, ADD is to automate, delegate, or duplicate and then delegate.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, ADD. I like it.
Yeah, right. Well, that was you. You're the one that brought it up.
So. All right, Dwayne. Thanks so much, dudes. Great seeing you again. We will chat, during the week, and we'll see you next week. Actually, see you next week.
All right. Have a good one, sir.
All right, buddy. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Website needs. LeadHunterMedia.com, your online digital marketer and content provider. Academy Kings BJJ Growth Consulting and Management Group at GrowMyAcademy.com. SparkMembership.com, hands down the best martial arts software for school owner management on the planet. GetKarateStudents.com, a martial arts growth consulting company for all your systems. AddHealthCoaching.com, helping school owners create a whole nother revenue stream for their school. We will see you next time.